The moment Camilla opened the slim envelope, everything seemed to change. At first glance, it appeared to be nothing more than another formal document from the palace, the kind of correspondence that arrives regularly within the royal household, carefully prepared, professionally worded, and rarely surprising. But as her eyes moved slowly across the page, something felt different. This wasn't routine paperwork. It wasn't a ceremonial update or a scheduling matter. According to ongoing royal speculation, the message represented something far more personal. It suggested that Camilla's place in the future monarchy might look very different once Prince William eventually becomes king. The language was said to be respectful and measured. There were no accusations, no dramatic confrontations, and no emotional outbursts. Yet beneath the polished diplomatic tone was a message that many royal observers believe would have been impossible to ignore. The future of the monarchy was already being planned, and that future might not include a significant public role for Queen Camilla. If true, the implications would have been enormous. She reportedly read the document once, then read it again, hoping she had misunderstood something. Perhaps there was another page waiting to clarify the meaning. Maybe there was a hidden condition that changed everything. But every sentence seemed to lead to the same conclusion. This wasn't presented as a temporary arrangement or a short-term adjustment. It suggested a permanent shift in how the next reign could be organized. For someone who had spent decades gradually earning acceptance inside one of the world's oldest institutions, that realization would have been deeply unsettling. What made the story even more compelling wasn't simply the alleged decision itself, but where many royal commentators believed it originated. Not from newspaper headlines, not from public opinion, and not from palace staff. Instead, many have speculated that Prince William has long envisioned a different kind of monarchy, one that is smaller, more focused, and better suited to the expectations of the modern public. Whether or not this specific letter ever existed, William has consistently been associated with the idea of streamlining the royal family and reducing the number of senior working royals. If that vision eventually becomes reality, difficult decisions would almost certainly follow. To understand why this possibility has attracted so much attention, it's important to remember just how extraordinary Camilla's journey has been. For decades, she remained one of the most controversial figures connected to the British royal family. Following the breakdown of King Charles and Princess Diana's marriage, public opinion toward Camilla was overwhelmingly negative. Newspaper headlines criticized her relentlessly, television debates questioned whether she should ever become part of the monarchy, and many believed public acceptance would never come. Yet history has a remarkable way of changing. Over time, attitudes slowly softened. Camilla increased her charitable work, represented the crown at hundreds of official engagements, and quietly built a reputation for consistency rather than publicity. Instead of chasing headlines, she devoted much of her time to causes such as literacy, domestic violence awareness, osteoporosis research, and support for survivors of sexual assault. Years of steady public service gradually reshaped how many people viewed her role within the royal family. Then came one of the biggest turning points in her life. In September 2022, following the death of Queen Elizabeth II, Camilla officially became Queen Consort alongside King Charles III. It marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. For many royal observers, it seemed as though the long and often painful debate surrounding her place within the monarchy had finally been settled. She had reached the position many once believed she would never hold. But every royal reign eventually comes to an end, and every new monarch brings new priorities. Prince William has never publicly criticized Camilla, and official appearances have generally projected unity within the family. However, William has also spent years preparing for kingship in his own way. His work on mental health, environmental issues, homelessness, and modernization has created a very different public image compared with previous generations. Many royal analysts believe his reign could represent one of the most significant transitions the monarchy has experienced in decades. Rather than expanding the royal family, William is widely expected to continue the idea of a streamlined monarchy, a smaller institution centered primarily around the monarch, the heir, and their immediate families. If that approach is adopted, some senior royals could naturally see their public responsibilities reduced over time. That possibility has fueled continued speculation about Camilla's future role once William ascends the throne. According to the stories shared by some royal commentators, Camilla eventually looked toward King Charles and asked a simple but revealing question: "Did you allow this?" Whether those exact words were ever spoken remains unverified, but the emotional idea behind them resonates with many who follow the royal family. Behind every constitutional decision are deeply personal relationships: a husband, a wife, a father, a son. The monarchy may function as an institution, but the people within it still experience disappointment, uncertainty, and change just like everyone else. According to the narrative, Charles did not immediately respond. There was no lengthy explanation, no firm denial, and no attempt to reassure her in that moment. Just silence. Throughout royal history, silence has often carried its own meaning. Whether that silence represented agreement, resignation, or simply the complexity of constitutional realities is impossible to know. but it reflects something that has happened repeatedly throughout generations of British history. Power inside the monarchy rarely changes through dramatic public confrontations. More often, it shifts quietly through private meetings, confidential discussions, carefully written correspondence, and decisions that only become fully understood years later. That is how many royal transitions have unfolded. One era slowly fades while another begins almost unnoticed, with subtle changes gradually reshaping the institution over time. For historians and royal experts, that gradual evolution is precisely what makes succession so fascinating. It is rarely about one dramatic decision. Instead, it is the accumulation of hundreds of smaller choices that redefine the monarchy for the next generation. Prince William's eventual reign is expected to bring exactly that kind of transformation. A younger generation will take center stage. Public expectations will continue evolving. Financial scrutiny will likely increase, and the pressure to keep the monarchy relevant in a rapidly changing society will only grow stronger. Whether Queen Camilla ultimately plays a major public role during that period remains unknown. No official succession plan has publicly excluded her, and Buckingham Palace has made no announcement suggesting such a decision. Nevertheless, speculation continues because every royal transition raises the same timeless questions. Who gains influence? Who loses it? And how will history remember those caught between one reign and the next? Perhaps that is why stories like this continue to capture global attention. They are not simply about titles or ceremonial roles. They are about legacy, belonging, and the uncertainty that accompanies every major transition. They explore whether years of loyalty and public service guarantee a lasting place in history, or whether every new generation ultimately chooses its own path. As discussions surrounding Prince William's future reign continue, one question refuses to disappear. Will his monarchy preserve the traditions established during King Charles's reign, or will it mark the beginning of an entirely new royal era? Whatever the answer may be, one thing seems certain. The next chapter of the British royal family is already beginning to take shape, and the decisions made during this transition could influence the monarchy for decades to come.